My name is Billy. The courtroom was cold, the air thick with a sterile quiet that only fluorescent lights can create. I stood there, dressed in a navy suit, a low bun on my head, and a steel watch on my wrist. I looked across the aisle at my parents. My mother, adorned in pearls, her face tight with worry. My father, clutching a hat as if it were the last thing keeping him upright. My sister, Lily, scrolled through her phone, feigning disinterest. The judge called my name, Ms. Thompson. You filed for financial restitution and property reassignment. I took a deep breath and replied, Yes, Your Honor. My lawyer, Ava, stood beside me, calm and composed. We'll be presenting evidence of the misuse of corporate funds, falsified inheritance claims, and trust account manipulation dating back 6 years, she stated firmly as she clicked the remote, and the first slide illuminated the screen behind us. As the details of their financial misdeeds were laid bare, I was transported back in time. I grew up in a middle-class family. My parents, Robert and Emily, were always more focused on appearances than on financial responsibility. My sister, Lily, was the apple of their eye. She was charming, with a soft voice and a talent for getting what she wanted without lifting a finger. Meanwhile, I was always the responsible one, the one who took care of things. At 16, while my family planned an extravagant vacation they couldn't afford, I was busy filing their taxes, dealing with insurance claims, and managing the overdue bills. When I started Thompson Enterprises, my parents dismissed it as a cute little hobby. But 3 years later, when I paid off their mortgage, everything changed. Suddenly, I became the financial backbone of the family. They cloaked their constant demands in the guise of family needs. My mother's favorite words were, "We're family, Billy. Family helps family." I naively believed her, until one day, I found out that she had used my corporate card to buy Lily's engagement ring. When I confronted her, she gave me that condescending smile and said, "You make so much, dear. Why be so stingy?" That was just the beginning. A few weeks before the so-called family banquet, Lily called me with that sickly, sweet voice of hers. "Dad wants to organize a special family celebration, just for us," she said. It sounded like an invitation to belong, but little did I know that I was the one footing the bill. When the first invoices landed on my desk, I thought it was a mistake. My assistant even joked about us getting into the event, sponsoring business. The contract clearly stated it was a Thompson family gala, with my father as the vendor and my business card as the payment source. I should have put an end to it right then, but a foolish part of me hoped that this time they would finally show some gratitude. That night at the banquet, held at the luxurious hotel I had paid for, in front of 100 people, my father pointed at me and shouted, "Get this beggar out." The words echoed off the marble walls. My mother sipped her champagne nonchalantly, and Lily smirked, as if she'd won some kind of victory. But they had no idea that every single expense in that ballroom was charged to my company. I didn't shout back. I didn't shed a tear. I simply walked out, opened my laptop, and started taking control. Within an hour, the music died down, the lights flickered and dimmed, and their grand celebration turned into a disaster. The next morning, the storm started. My mother called, saying my father didn't mean it, that he was just overwhelmed. Overwhelmed by what? The fact that I didn't owe him explanations for my success. Then Lily called, asking me to check the payment issues at the hotel. "No, how are you?" "No, I'm sorry. Just a demand for me to fix it." I logged into my business account and was shocked to see 6-figure transactions tagged as family events. I traced every signature, every clause, and realized it was all under my LLC, my name, and my liability. When I saw my signature on the catering contract, I smiled, not out of pride, but out of clarity. I revoked all the payments, voided the authorizations, and reversed the flights. Jared, a family friend, showed up at my door, all red-faced and sweaty. "Billy, you have to fix this." "They're in a panic," he pleaded. I folded my arms and calmly replied, "I didn't break anything. I just stopped paying for their extravagance." He looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language when I told him I was their bank, and that bank had just closed its accounts. He threatened me with lawyers and lawsuits, but I just smiled and asked for receipts. He soon realized I had all the evidence I needed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying my father's words in my head. But as I thought about it, the word beggar started to sound ridiculous. Beggars don't fund banquets. Beggars don't own the means to make others' dreams come true. That was the moment I decided I wouldn't let this end in silence. I wanted documentation, proof of their wrongdoings. The following morning, my phone was bombarded with messages and calls from unknown numbers, family group chats, and even voicemails from long-lost relatives. They all said the same thing. Billy, this has gone too far. But what was too far? Revoking what was rightfully mine? An email from my mother stood out. We didn't mean what we said. Your father is embarrassed. Just pay the venue, and let's move on. I stared at it for a minute and then replied, You crossed the line when you called me a beggar, before deleting the email and blocking her address. Then our family accountant, George, called. He sounded hesitant and apologetic. Billy, I was looking through your parents' trust documents, and something seems off. The payments for the beach condo aren't coming from their account. I asked, Whose account are they coming from? There was a long pause before he said, From an LLC linked to Thompson Enterprises. I almost laughed. They had not only humiliated me, but also built their lifestyle on my corporate funds and labeled it as inheritance. I told George to conduct a full audit of every transaction since 2018. He warned me it would get ugly, but I was determined. It's already ugly. Let's make it legal, I said. By the end of the day, I was in Ava's office. Her office was as minimal and sharp as her personality. I laid out the whole story, from the canceled payments to the fraudulent condo transfers. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair and said, We can handle this quietly or go all the way. I didn't even hesitate. Properly, I replied. She nodded and said we'd file for fraud, misrepresentation, unauthorized use of funds, and property reassignment. Within 48 hours, the legal documents were served. The same family that had always come to me for money now received certified letters with the Thompson Enterprises seal. That night, my mother left a voicemail, her voice breaking. You're destroying us over one mistake. People will talk, Billy. Your father's reputation. Reputation had always mattered more to them than the truth. I saved the voicemail as evidence. The next morning, the condo title transfer was confirmed. Their dream of a retirement getaway was gone, and I felt a sense of liberation. I sat at my desk, holding the warm document, and whispered to myself, This isn't revenge. It's facing reality. The court hearing came sooner than I expected. For 3 weeks, there was a tense silence, broken only by the gossip I wasn't supposed to hear. My cousin sent me screenshots from the family chat I'd been excluded from. Billy is just being dramatic, one message read. She'll back down before court, another said. They had no idea that I'd stopped protecting their reputations the moment mine was shattered. Now, in the courtroom, as Ava presented the evidence, I felt a sense of calm. The judge listened intently as Ava showed the bank transfers labeled as urgent family repairs that were actually for Lily's kitchen remodel, the college fund withdrawals spent on spa weekends, and the medical expenses that went into my father's vintage car restoration. Finally, the judge turned to me and asked, Miss Thompson, what outcome are you seeking today? I stood up straight. My heart was steady. I'm not seeking punishment, I said. I just want the truth on paper. I want the records to match reality. My father slammed his hand on the table and shouted, This is absurd. You're destroying your family. I looked him in the eye and replied, No, Dad. I'm just auditing it. The words seemed to hit him harder than I'd anticipated. Maybe because they were the truth. The judge raised her hand for silence. The evidence is substantial. The property will remain in Miss Thompson's name. The misused funds are to be reimbursed to the trust under court supervision. Any further claims against Ms. Thompson's company are void. The gavel hit the block, and the decision was final. As I turned to leave, my father rose from his seat. For the first time, he didn't look like the patriarch he always pretended to be. You've made your point, but you're about to ruin us. Are you proud of this? He asked quietly. I paused in the doorway, feeling the weight of all the years I'd spent paying for their mistakes, their silence. No, I said. I'm not proud. I'm just tired. Tired of being taken for granted. He opened his mouth to say something, but only let out a long, empty breath. Then he placed a blank, signed check on the bench. I slid it back. This has never been about your money. It's about mine, I said firmly. Outside the courthouse, the rain had stopped. The steps glistened in the wet light. I took off my heels and walked barefoot for a few seconds just to feel the real ground beneath me. Ava joined me.
You did it, she said.
I looked back at the courthouse doors and whispered, No, I just stopped pretending. Weeks passed, and the silence that once felt like a punishment now felt like peace. There were no more late-night calls, no more guilt, tripping texts. My phone stayed silent, and for the first time in years, I didn't dread answering it. The court's decision had a ripple effect on their lives. My parents sold their country club memberships, and Lily deleted her Instagram after someone commented about me owning the condo. The gossip spread quickly through their circle, but I didn't care. I was no longer a part of that toxic world. I sold the condo a month after the ruling, and the proceeds went into the Thompson Foundation, a fund for women working their way through college without family support. I wanted the money that had once fed their vanity to help build someone else's future. One afternoon, I found an envelope slipped under my door. There was no return address. Inside was a photograph from that fateful banquet. Everyone was dressed in their finest, glasses raised in a toast. In the background, there was me mid-turn, walking away. On the back, Lily had written, "This was the moment it all fell apart." I stared at it for a long time before feeding it through the shredder, piece by piece. What fell apart wasn't my family. It was the illusion that love could be bought with endless sacrifice. When the last strip of paper disappeared, I felt a sense of relief. It wasn't about triumph or revenge. It was just quiet. In that quiet, I realized I hadn't lost a family. I'd freed myself from a burden. Families should never feel like an unending debt. Sometimes, the only way to heal is to stop giving second chances in the name of help. I didn't ruin my family. I just put an end to their exploitation. And in that newfound space, I've built something better. Boundaries, peace, and a future that truly belongs to me. If you've ever had to walk away to protect your sanity, share your story in the comments. Your experience might just help someone else do the same. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories like this.